Chapter 3. Groundfall. Independent Colony. Epsilon Reach Assault. The data packet flooded my vision the moment we requested the report. Even now, looking back, I can still feel the weight of it pressing against me. I remain still in the middle command section, the open area of the dropship. My eyes glowed soft blue as the tactical information streamed straight into my AR implant. The other augmented marines around me were silent, their own eyes glowing the same faint blue while they processed the same flood of data. The ship was already shaking from Locus bioforms in the void that acted as sublight proximity mines. The handful of regular Protectorate marines crammed in with us stared at their data pads or visor hoods, faces tense as they tried to focus through the ship's violent shaking. The chips we were after weren't ordinary zero-space communicators. They were the irreplaceable components that went into the spire tip of every zero-space-capable vessel. The precise material that allowed ships to break through into zero-space at critical sublight speeds. This planet was the last safe source for the rare resources needed to make them, and the second-last production site left in the Orion Arm. Kasama Prime was the only other one. With most of human space already consumed, losing this cache would be a serious blow. The packet also confirmed the massive explosions on the dark side had been detonated. There were strategic nuclear warheads being used to slow swarms across battlefield's planet side. Heavy radioactive fallout was expected. Everyone would have to stay sealed in full combat suits for the entire operation. I blinked the data away as the packet finished loading. Kale was seated right beside me, as always. He glanced over, a familiar sarcastic glint in his eye. "Looks like we're going shopping for fancy chips instead of just shooting things," he muttered. "Real glamorous work for the special augments today." I couldn't help it. I smiled despite everything. "Shut up, Foreign. At least you're not the one who has to explain to the recruits why we're running errands in the middle of a war zone." Two of the raw regular marines across from us caught the exchange. They gave us awkward, nervous smiles, clearly trying to look like they were in on the joke, then quickly looked away again. We then broke out of sublight with the Directorate formation. The ironclad rigs of war broke away from our dropship formation to join the broader orbital battle. I gazed out the cockpit view as a lance of directed energy fired from the capital ship Resolute at the edge of the system burned past us and the orbital chaos, connecting to the planet's surface and glassing a region the size of a large city. My data feed confirmed a hyperorganism eliminated. The pilot crew maneuvered us with precise skill through the ensuing orbital chaos, dodging Locus swarms, debris, friendly, and enemy projectile fire. The dropship's front thrusters engaged, shaking us as the bulk squealed under the rapid change of inner forces. The dropship shook violently as we began our atmospheric entry. Dozens of other dropships were descending with us, as the others broke in groups to reinforce other lines of contacts kilometers away. Some were already torn apart by Locus bioform squadrons that had broken through the orbital screen. Pieces of destroyed warships, including what looked like wreckage from the Iron Dominion, tumbled past us through the thinning atmosphere, burning bright as they fell. The descent was brutal. The ship rattled and bucked even louder. One of the raw recruits suddenly hunched forward and puked inside his helmet. The augmented marines around me stayed perfectly calm, eyes still faintly glowing as they finished processing the last of the data. We broke through the cloud layer. The surface was chaos. The sky roared with distant swarms. Lightning crackled through the thickening spore clouds from the sheer friction, small breaks revealing tendrils of millions of bioforms moving through the air. The crashed refinery was a blazing wreck on the horizon, a massive rig 10 kilometers wide, streaks and flashes of reds, purples, and blues still burning as it continued crumbling and settling into the planet's surface. Our dropship screamed toward the surface under heavy fire. The landing boosters suddenly roared to life with a deep, thunderous burst, firing in rapid succession to kill our velocity and level us out. The entire frame groaned violently as the ship fought for stability, thrusters screaming against the pull of gravity and the chaos below. The ramp dropped the moment we slammed into the ground near the wreckage. We poured out as the rear turrets of the dropship roared with suppressive fire, dropping massive shell casings to the ship's flanks. A few of the regular marines were cut down almost immediately, and 2 augments as well. I even felt a ring of projectile hit the right side of my helm. We moved and took positions. I raised my rail rifle and opened fire, the hypervelocity rounds punching through the nearest wave of Locus frames. Kale was right beside me, laying down heavy suppressing fire. The Locus came in a mix of typical bioforms and the more specialized Psyche forms. Hardened for war, with clear traits of human DNA biological quarters woven into their structure. Some looked almost humanoid, others were beast-like with disturbingly human features. They moved with horrifying coordination, launching hundreds of small bullet-sized chitin spikes covered in aggressive bacteria that attacked the cardiovascular system on penetration. 2 of our regular Marines dropped as if they'd had heart attacks, clutching their chests. The sky screamed with ungodly horror. I pivoted, my augmented legs carrying me forward in a burst of speed. I jumped onto a piece of wrecked refinery plating for better elevation and opened fire, covering the rest of the squad as they pushed forward. We managed to kill a single command bioform. Kale moved up beside me. "What now, Lieutenant?" I didn't answer immediately. My eyes flicked to the opposite side of our position where one of the raw recruits had frozen. Rifle in the mud, rocking back and forth in a near-fetal position, completely overwhelmed. My vision blurred and a wave of anxiety took over my mind, flooded with whispers and the sound of horrors past. How many times had I frozen like that in the beginning? How many times had I wished someone would pull me back? Kale noticed. He reached out and gave my shoulder a firm shake. "Hey, it's okay. Stay with me, Novan." I blinked rapidly as the sounds of more combat forms roared in the distance. My eyes flashed blue again, and Kale's did the same. All the other augmented Marines around us' eyes suddenly glowed blue as they processed fresh tactical data and moved without a word to take flanking and defensive positions with an almost unnatural foresight. Kale nodded at me and yelled into the squad comms, "Regulars, take positions. Move." He looked at me again one more time, a familiar concern. I nodded and verbalized my reply. "Yeah, I'm good." We fought the new wave together. The flanking augmented Marines hit the sighting forms from the side, taking out another mobile node with coordinated precision. The command bioform crumpled, and the surrounding Locus forms faltered for a moment. Together we pushed forward, through steel, mud, and blood, slaughtering the remaining forms with surgical precision, utilizing all of our unique cybernetic augmentations. Some moved swiftly, others engaged in melee and ranged combat, until we linked up with the flanking team at the new position. We all stopped for a moment, and my adrenaline started to drop. My gaze wandered behind me to the field we had just pushed through. The sky was still groaning and screaming. The field was littered with dead allies torn apart, and the corpses of Locus forms. The Locus bodies were already bubbling with boils as rapid mycelium structures sprouted and crept outward, spreading quickly across the ground and even covering their own corpses as if preserving the biomass for future consumption. The sight sent a surge of suppressed rage mixed with a slight notable revulsion through me. It never got easier, no matter how many times I saw it. Reload. Regroup. We move forward. I barked, my voice tight with that revulsion. Above us, 3 Directorate gunships screamed past at hypersonic speeds, launching missiles and bursts of particle fire toward the Locus concentrations near the core. The skies still screamed with a haunting echo and the rumble of explosions in the distance. The gunship's payload connected with the Locus concentration, softening the way forward. We still had a long way to go,